There is a big idea that is capturing the interest of weirdos on the internet, such as myself. People who are interested in the larger answers of life that science couldn't possibly accept, and philosophy can only scratch the surface of. People want to know what's going on and why we're here. For a long time, everyone in the Western world just accepted what was in the Bible as a good explanation for everything existential until science came along and started showing us things that were never mentioned in the good book, like harnessing electricity, DNA, and nuclear energy. We couldn't just ignore what was right in front of our eyes, and year by year, the wonders of science provided practical inventions to make our lives easier. This led to a rising percentage of people becoming atheists. It coincided with the rise of the internet and the biggest exchange of ideas that the human race ever achieved. I personally don't think you need to abandon spirituality just because we are understanding how the world functions on a base level, but I also don't think you should ignore the information science has provided. And this is where Gnosticism comes into play. It seems that when people rejected their Christian upbringing, it came from a sense that there was an effort to get you to stop believing your lying eyes and only follow what the church dictates. Something felt wrong. It was recognized that large religious organizations are a form of control. I don't think it's this way on purpose, at least originally. I believe it's rooted in good intentions. The more people you lead to the light, the more you can feel it working towards your own salvation. But you shouldn't try to save people who don't want to be saved according to your idea of what's good or bad. And it's not your place to judge about it either. Believing that non-believers are corrupting society is what starts an unbelievable amount of wars and bloodshed in the world. So it's best just to let things be how they are, unless it's literally causing bodily harm to you. Anyway, Gnosticism is alluring to former and practicing Christians because it seems to incorporate a lot of ideas found in science fiction and fantasy. Not only that, but it's a much more compelling explanation for why the world is so cruel. It also has legitimacy because it's a very, very old belief that developed around the same time as the rise of Christianity in the 1st and 2nd century. It's also considered the first heresy because of what it teaches. So what is Gnosticism mainly proposing? Gnostics believe that the material world we reside in is a giant illusion designed to trap our divine essence within physical bodies. This realm was created by a false god known as the Demiurge or Yaldabaoth. Some believe him to be the wrathful and vain god of the First Testament. This is because God acts so differently between the First Testament and the New Testament. Some also believe that we are here to suffer, and that's why there is so much pain in the world. Our negative emotional energy is being harvested for sustenance by higher beings known as the Archons, who are a tier lower than the Demiurge. Reincarnation plays a big role as well. Since our divine spark/soul can't be destroyed, we are constantly being reincarnated into this reality to begin the harvesting process all over again. According to the Gnostic texts, we can escape this endless cycle of torture and rebirth by achieving gnosis. Salvation not through belief and action, but through understanding your divine origin and using that inner knowledge to return to the higher realm where the true God of everything resides. So as you can see, there's a lot of Matrix vibes going on here with the false reality aspect. It provides a perfectly understandable explanation as to why everything is so messed up in the world and only getting worse. However, I just don't buy this train of thought. I did for a while, but there is a few key reasons to not give in to the hopelessness of it all. Firstly, people always ask, if there's a God, why is there so much suffering in the world? Which is a fair question, but if there were no suffering in the world, nobody would have autonomy. Humans have free will, which means we can make decisions, good or bad, harmful or unharmful. There would be no point to existence if everything was good all the time. We are here to learn lessons and make choices. The only way to get people to completely stop being shitty is to control them. This is wrong because it inhibits character growth. No lessons can be learned, and when the control goes away, everyone goes back to acting with ignorance again. Everyone must grow as a person, but in order to do that, you have to go from unaware and uncaring to aware of your actions and mindful of how they affect others. Secondly, a lot of Gnostics use the spiritual prison idea as an excuse not to do anything or be a good person. They say, well, we're here to suffer anyway, and things will never get better, so what's the point? Even if our emotional energy was being harvested by higher order beings in the spiritual world, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be a good person. It doesn't mean everything's pointless. We still have fun, and there are still good people in the world. You should be one of them. Sisyphus was a Greek mythological figure who was punished by the gods and sentenced to pushing a boulder all the way up a mountain. If he could get it to the top, he'd be free. But the boulder was enchanted to always slip out of his hands and roll all the way down to the mountain just before it got to the top, so he'd have to start over again. Despite being in this endless, meaningless cycle, Sisyphus keeps doing it. Even though he is forced to do this repetitive task for all eternity, he is free to choose his attitude. Once he accepted his fate, one can only imagine Sisyphus as happy. So even if you believe you are stuck in an endless cycle that ultimately won't lead to anything, you can still control your outlook on life. You can become so positive as a person no matter what situation you find yourself in, whether it's being harvested by elder gods or having your life hours extracted by a faceless corporate entity. You can find meaning in a routine because the human mind is endlessly adaptable. You can find joy in little victories and the small things in life. You can always connect with others. Invent your own meaning in meaninglessness. Embrace your task with neither false hope or despair. This is how you become powerful. This is how you master your destiny. Become so good at being Sisyphus that the only way they can punish you is by taking away your rock.